intermittent fasting. What is it? And kind of more importantly, what is it not? Now I'm kind of bored of hearing about kind of people going intermittent fasting, it's just about calorie intake and all this kind of stuff. Well, for me, intermittent fasting isn't about weight loss necessarily. Okay, you can use it as a tool for weight loss. I'm going to explain a little bit, so don't worry. So what is intermittent fasting first off? Well, there's many ways of intermittently fasting. Okay, you can do long fasts, short fasts. You can have breakfast, skip lunch and have dinner. You can skip breakfast, have lunch, have dinner. You can have breakfast, have lunch, skip dinner. Okay, there's many ways of doing it. Now for most people, to go from a regular eating pattern of breakfast, lunch and dinner, maybe with a couple of snacks, that's really hard to do straight away because we are carb driven. Okay? Those people who do that kind of thing, they're usually very carb driven. Okay? Their body is craving sugars, carbohydrates, whether they're starchy or sugary, whether they're good or bad. Okay, I don't like that, but they're, you know, highly sugary and fast intake or starchy and slower intake. Doesn't matter what, they're carbs. Okay, so you're carb driven. So to go from that style of eating to intermittent fasting, where you're doing like an 18-6 or a 16-8 kind of diet, or you're trying to go 24-hour fasting, you can't switch from one to the other straight away. You're not trained. You haven't trained to do it. So it's difficult to do it straight away. Now, a method I learned, I probably suggested this anyway, but I learned this again another way a couple of weeks ago, listening to a book called The Energy Paradox, or The Plant Paradox. I'm sure it's in there as well, by Stephen Gundry. I think I got his name right this time. Stephen Gundry. And what he suggests is that you start with 12 hours. Okay, so you eat your last meal at say 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock one evening, your last calories, and then you have your first calories at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, 12 hours later. And then the next day, you shift that by half an hour or an hour. And then the following day, you shift that again by another half an hour or an hour, depending on what you can do. Okay, so by the end of the week, instead of at 12 hours, you're at 17. But then the following week, you drop back down to 13. Okay, so it goes Monday to Friday. This is the way he teaches it. Monday to Friday. You do an hour every day. And then when you get back to the weekends, you kind of eat however you like. And then you get on the Monday, instead of 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours. And then following Monday, 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours. Okay, and then after a few weeks, you're there. Okay, so 3-4 weeks, okay, depending on how well you progress, you're there. So it's just a case of giving yourself a bit of time to train it. Now it might be that you do 13 hours for 2 days. You might do 14 hours for 2 days. You might space that out a little bit longer. You can't expect a sprinter to suddenly become a marathon runner overnight. And that's essentially what you're doing if you're trying to switch from 5 meals a day to intermittent fasting. It's hard. Your cells are not trained to do that. Okay, they're not flexible enough to do that. They don't have the adaptability to do that overnight, which makes it difficult, which makes you have the sugar cravings, which makes you feel starving, bloody hungry when you're trying to switch your diets. Now, a lot of people will say that intermittent fasting as a weight loss tool, basically all you're doing is reducing calories. And again, that's not necessarily true, okay, because you can intermittent fast and still eat the same number of calories. You just have large meals, okay, in a small space of time. And you just have 2 or 3, you still might have 3 meals. You just have your first one at 12, your second one at 3, and your last one at 7. Okay, something like that. You can still eat a regular amount of calories. So it's not for calorie reduction necessarily. You can, and you might naturally calorie reduce, but it's not for that. Okay, so intermittent fasting is to train your cells to not purely rely on carbohydrates or sugars or glucose or glucagon or whatever you want to call it. It's for your mitochondria, it's very windy here, sorry, for your mitochondria to create ATP, and that's what it's all about. It's to have a second method, a more effective method of creating ATP, which is what our energy really is. Our energy is not really much to do with calories, it's to do with how effectively and how well we create ATP. Now, if you're relying on sugars, okay, yeah, our mitochondria can make energy from sugars, but they can also make energy from fat, and in emergencies, okay, they will turn to protein. Okay, because if the fat stores have run out and if the carbohydrate stores have run out, okay, your body's got to survive, so it's going to start reprocessing protein and turn that into sugars, and then you're going to make energy that way. Okay, it's not ideal. So we kind of got two main ones, sugars and fats. Okay, so by fasting, you're training your body to empty the sugar fuel tank gradually. Okay, so you're training your body to be able to run with your carbohydrate fuel tank a lot lower. Okay, but we're switching fuels in this time. We're switching fuels to fat. Okay, so that's what intermittent fasting kind of to do, okay, to make you more metabolically flexible so that you can use one or the other. Now, you will use both to an extent anyway, but you're probably not, if you're eating 5 meals a day, and they might even be generally healthy, but they might generally be carbohydrate based, or you feel run down, low energy, okay, because you're constantly running on sugar, you're constantly on the hunt for food. Okay, so we need to switch. Okay, so that's kind of part one. But the other reason for intermittent fasting, and probably the more important reason for intermittent fasting, well, they're both pretty important, okay, is giving your gut lining, okay, a chance to recover. Now, I'm in a big field here, okay, but if I was to remove my intestines, so the whole thing, okay, small and large, okay, it would cover roughly the size of a tennis court. Okay, it would be, if I was to spread it out, iron it out completely flat, it would cover roughly the size of a tennis court. Okay, and it is one cell thick. It is incredibly delicate. Okay, and when you eat all the time, you're causing damage to that lining. And well, our body's really cool, so it repairs that really, really quickly. But it can't always do that fast enough, depending on what you eat, how you eat, what kind of inflammatory products, and how much damage is already there. So it's really good at repairing, but maybe you're not giving it enough of a chance to repair fully. So intermittent fasting for me is about not only being able to switch between two fuels, I'm also allowing my gut lining and my gut bacteria to recover, okay, and rebalance and repair fully in between feedings, that's where I'm more likely to do the damage. Okay, so if I eat food that's going to cause me inflammation, it might be gluten, it might be dairy, it might be some other lectin or some other food, high sugar, okay, that's then going to break down my gut wall. That means more stuff, okay, bad stuff, okay, it's not necessarily bad, okay, but more proteins that are unbroken down, they're going to get from my inside my gut lining to outside my gut lining, into my bloodstream, into my lymphatic system. Okay, my immune system is going to then see that thing where it's not supposed to be. It's going to see it as a foreign invader and it's going to attack it. So it's going to put my immune system on high alert. My immune system is then going to cause stress, okay, which might then cause common colds, okay, or more regular colds. Okay, it might mean that when there is a threat from my environment, i.e. a virus, okay, or something else going around, my immune system's already busy attacking stuff that's going on in my gut. So it doesn't have the capacity necessarily to fight a war on a second front, okay? Hitler made that mistake, right? Okay, so we're fighting a war on two fronts. Okay, so I want my gut bacteria, my gut wall, to to be as healthy as possible, and fasting is a way of letting it repair. And if you can do it regularly and do it consistently, then not only are you going to have better energy throughout the day, but you're also going to have better health. You're going to have better brain health because your body is not fighting these battles. Okay, you're going to have lower stress. And your immune system is going to be rocking. Okay? There's all these things you can do to improve your energy, to improve your health. Again, if my immune system's on high alert, okay, maybe it starts attacking my muscles, okay, maybe these bacteria and these proteins get to other parts of my body, and then maybe I'll get arthritis, and then maybe I'll get tight muscles, and maybe my bones don't grow and reform and as well as they should. Maybe my skin, okay, skin's a big one, okay, maybe my skin doesn't replenish itself as best it can. Maybe there's then psoriasis, maybe there's then itchy skin, maybe there's rashes and hives, and all these things because your gut hasn't had a chance to recover between damaging meals. Now, I highly recommend going off and reading from this the energy paradox, and the plant paradox by Stephen Gundry. They give you the full kind of shebang on how to do this, and a kind of a list of foods to eat and to avoid. It's might be a bit different to how you normally eat, but if you've got low energy, you're tired all the time, maybe you've got brain fog, maybe you've got rashes, maybe you've got aches and pains that just don't go away, or they keep coming and going and you don't really know why, or you've got injuries that keep coming and going. Maybe it's your gut, okay, your body's fighting a battle down there and it doesn't have the energy to go and repair the ligaments and repair the tendons and repair the muscle as best it could. That's what intermittent fasting is for. Okay, it's not about calorie reduction. It's not necessarily about weight loss. Although, if you get your gut in good working order, you may well lose weight. You may well lose weight because your body is not fighting infections all the time, which will cause swelling, okay, which might lead to water retention, which might lead to added weight. Okay, which means you want to eat more, okay, and you're constantly hungry. So if you're not constantly hungry and you're constantly less inflamed, then you might eat less, and then you might lose weight, and then you might have more energy to go out for walks and go to the gym, okay, or do something in the evening that's not just sit in front of the TV eating chocolate or crisps or cheese or drinking drinking booze, okay, or whatever it is you might be doing. So it's vital importance to be mindful of when you eat. Another little tip here, okay, is give yourself about 3 or 4 hours before bedtime. Your last meal should be kind of 3-4 hours before bedtime. We don't want blood flow going to our gut for digestion when we're heading off to sleep. We want blood flow to be available to the brain so the brain can clean, so the brain can repair, so all our neurons can sever and detach if they need to be severed and detached, and they can make new connections if they need to make new connections. Okay, it's going to help you learn more, hence brain fog, okay, headaches, migraines, okay, might be linked with having meals too late in the day, okay, maybe eating too frequently throughout the day. So think about it, okay, well worth doing. I intermittently fast now. I've been doing it off and on, okay, not every day, okay, off and on, and sometimes I have breaks for a month or two, for probably 2.5 years now, and I don't get skin conditions anymore. I don't get itchiness anymore. I have more energy, okay, I can have less sleep, okay, so I'm doing great on kind of 6 hours, and sometimes it's disturbed. I've got kids, sometimes they're up in the night, but I don't have these like massive energy slumps in the day, okay? Mostly I think because I intermittently fast. Now my diet could still be a lot better, okay? I could avoid certain things, okay? Like the lectins, okay, the tomato sauces and all the things, and peppers and all these things that might cause inflammation. I could avoid more of those and have more of other stuff that would be more beneficial, okay? More fibre, all this kind of stuff. I could do that, I don't, okay? So I know I could do better, okay? I know my energy could be better, my cognition could be better. There's a difference between knowing and doing, okay? So now you know this, what are you going to do? All right, guys, have a great day.